Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the AAS YouTube channel. And this is part of the great stuff. This is the AAS Education Series. And I am super happy to have Karen Masters and Sanlyn Buxner with us today. Hello, Karen. Hello, Sanlyn.
Hello, it's great to be here.
It's great to be here on this February 27th of 2023 as we record this. And 2023 is going by so fast. Oh, no, we're already almost coming up on March. Karen, where are you located at?
I am a professor of astronomy and physics at Haverford College, which is in the outskirts of Philadelphia.
Outskirts of Philadelphia. Is spring coming? Is spring started yet? Is the snow still there?
Spring is coming. I can see daffodils out the window.
Oh, very cool.
Hazel tree. It's a
very
beautiful
cool.
arboretum here. So
Very nice. And Sanlyn, where are you located at?
I am in Tucson, so I work at both the University of Arizona and the Planetary Science Institute.
Very cool. And that is about 90 miles south of me. I'm here in Phoenix. We are in our spring weather here in Arizona. We got some winds, we got some rain yesterday. We're getting that turnover between the battle between the North and the Gulf winds coming up. So very cool. And you two are both members of the Education Committee, the AAS Education Committee, correct?
that's right.
And that's what we are going to talk about today. And so I am going to turn this mainly over to Karen and Sanlyn, and let's talk Education Committee and what they do and how people can get engaged and benefit from the Education Committee. So all yours.
Okay, I can start us off with, so the Education Committee is about 10 people. We meet monthly and we discuss all matters to do with education related to the AAS. Sanlyn and I are the co-chairs. And the committee is put together quite intentionally to have people on it who represent education in all the different ways we do education as astronomers. So people from liberal arts colleges, people from community colleges, we have a high school teacher, we have people who work at museums and education sites.
Cool. I think we have a listing. Let's go ahead and get those members up and give them some airtime, some shout out.
Oh yeah, good call.
And I will get that up in just a second.
No problem.
And while we're getting up, there's a great time to talk about how we get new members too. We have all of our members. So here is a listing of the members.
Cool.
So you can always go to the website and there's our committee members. So we have people who work, again, in K-12, people who work at in undergraduate and graduate education, people who work at nonprofits, people who work in outreach. And so all those things are included when we think about education broadly. Indeed.
And Kate, I've done a video with Kate on her class education activities. Very good.
Fantastic. And we also have, we're really excited to have the first graduate student member this year. We invited a representative from Astrobytes to join the committee because of all the fantastic education work they do. So.
Oh, very cool. And who is that? That would be Michael. Okay. Very nice. And so, how often does the Education Committee meet? Is this a once a year thing? Is this a once a month thing? Once a quarter? And what do you do when you meet?
Yeah, so we meet virtually once a month, and we have certain things that we are tasked to do. And so we run several different programs. We also meet in person at both the summer and the winter meeting. And so there's a little extra time we get together. Outside of our regular meetings, we also have some subgroup meetings. And so we'll talk about some of the big initiatives, but it's a few hour commitment a month to be on the Education Committee to do all this work. And so we do want to talk about some of the signature programs that we do. And so we'll kind of go to our list, and I'm going to start with something called the AAS EPD mini grant program. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen so you can see. You can learn more about it when you go to the website. And so the EPD part of it is the Educator Professional Development. That's what it stands for. Okay. And it's a mini grant program in the sense that it's just several $1,000s. We have sometimes up to 10, but usually they're in the couple $1,000s. There are a few requirements to apply. One is you need to be a AAS member and you need to be working in the United States. So that's the thing.
Okay.
And the type of programming that it has to be is it has to be for AAS members. And so you can't just use it to do anything you want with anyone you want. It does need to serve the AAS members and be additive to them. You can do it at a meeting, but you don't have to. You can do it on campus or at a museum or through an outreach. And so when you go to the website, you can see all sorts of things. It still has the last cycle, which will be updated when we open up the next cycle for 23. And you
Cool.
can start to see all the different pieces of it, as well as things that have been funded in the past. And once you receive one of these awards and you enact your program, we do ask that you do a reporting. And we'll talk about that reporting. It ends up on another piece, which is our blog, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Karen,
Cool.
is there anything you want to add on the EPD program?
Yeah, I mean, just interacting with people. Sometimes there's a sort of misunderstanding that this is for outreach activity funding. This is really for education and professional development for AAS members. So you can share what you've been doing with outreach and give training, you know, about how other people could take it over or could you do a similar thing. It's really fantastic for workshops at AAS meetings, but as Sanlyn said, you don't have to do it there.
Cool.
I think there is a list of some recent.
Yeah, let's slide down and see what
let's take a look.
has been funded.
Pop up previously funded activities. You get a list
There you
here, and those links go to the report for each of those. So.
Very good. Sound and light. Astronomers addressing climate change. Public exoplanet. Dylan, yes. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and so we definitely encourage anyone who's a AAS member, including if you are a graduate student. We love to see graduate students apply for these. And so there's really no limit. As long as you are a AAS member in the US, you can apply for this. And we love to see collaborations among multiple people and multiple institutions as well.
And what is the what is the size of the proposal? Is this a 15-page NSF bomber or
It's just several pages. And so very similar to other grants, you will have kind of your narrative. We do have, if you would like to apply, let me go to that part. It kind of gives you some directions.
There's an application form. Okay.
Yes, there's an application form, and I'll just click on it so you can see.
Sure.
Sign in. Oh my goodness, no, that's silly. I was like, I'll sign in a second and show you, but it's just several pages.
Yeah,
And then you do need to have a budget. And the other thing that's really important is that this particular program is reimbursable, which means we don't just hand out the money. The AAS actually asks for receipts. And so they're reimbursing you for actual costs, not kind of what you think you're going to get.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's not a summer salary program.
Yeah. And the other thing,
explicitly, salary is excluded from what you were going to ask for.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was going to go there. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
it's for travel costs and workshop costs.
And combine, consumables that you may use in your workshop and that kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I think honorariums, where appropriate, can be included.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. And so how long has this program been going? We're at cycle 6, so maybe it started in 2017, roughly?
Well, that seems like a good guess, doesn't it? Sometimes you have 2 cycles in a year, but I'm not sure how we count those, if I'm honest. We have 2018 there as the first.
and so this was started when Kim Coble was the chair of the committee and so forth. And then, of course, it dropped off a little bit during the pandemic, but we still had people who were doing it virtually, which was fantastic. And now we're back and we're taking both virtual opportunities and in-person opportunities. So we like people to be super creative about that as well. The other thing we'll say is, unlike proposing to NSF, we are happy to help people write their proposals. And so if this is your first time or you need help, just reach out to us or Tom Rice, who is the education staff member at the AAS, and we would be happy to help you. We don't want it to be a high bar or a high barrier for you to be able to get into this. We really want it to be something that's for the good of the community. So
very nice. Very nice. Super cool. All right.
So I was going to talk about another initiative that we're involved in as a committee. So probably many members have heard of the Chambliss Awards, which are student awards for poster presentation at the AAS.
Yes,
It's a pretty awesome program.
it is.
Historically, it was been run by the education staff member, but it's getting pretty big. And so recently the committee have kind of agreed to help coordinate the program.
Nice.
Did you know that 500 students submitted to be part of the awards at the last AAS meeting?
I did, because I had to take a look at several of those posters.
Yes. Yeah, and over 200 members helped with judging of the posters.
Yeah,
so that's quite a large logistical problem to, coordinate all of that.
Absolutely.
And we also worked on helping to put together, basically refine the rubric a little bit to represent better what we think, particularly our undergraduate student researchers need to see, so that they can prepare a great poster and be able to really participate well. And so that's all now available on the website. You can download a rubric that tells the students what we're looking for in the posters.
And these days, I think that at least they were at the last AAS, are all electronic posters.
That's right. Yes, electronic posters.
So you get to have a bit more dynamicness, if you want, to your poster, as opposed to just a straight out static images and that kind of stuff. So very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I had 2 of my grad students submit one.
Yeah, there's an undergraduate sort of track and a grad student track. Grad students can also judge. They can judge the undergraduate posters.
I didn't know that. Okay.
But you have to have a PhD to judge the graduate student posters.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And usually a number of judges go visit each poster. So it's quite a big
it's quite an endeavor, right? You walk, I don't know if people have ever been in there, but you go into the hallway and there's like 75 monitors, let's say 100 monitors, let's say, and there's just walls of people on each one, and the people are coming and talking about the posters. It's actually very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I supervise a lot of undergraduate research here at Haverford. That's a big thing of what we do. And so I know that it means a lot to my students to enter the program. They know that they're going to have a great conversation with someone about their poster. And if they win, that's fantastic CV points. And they're really delighted to hear that. So I think, on the education committee, we're big advocates for this activity, and we want to support it. So.
That Chambliss Award seems to have grown quite a bit over the last couple of years. I can remember 5 or 6 years ago, it wasn't quite nearly as big as it is right now. It's very, very popular right now. So
it's been running for a long time. I remember a student I worked with when I was a postdoc, so quite a few years ago now, when the Chambliss Award, and we were delighted.
Just yesterday.
Yes, just yesterday. A little while ago. She's now a faculty member, so that's kind of nice.
Okay. Time flies when you're having fun. Yes. Very cool. Very cool. And so we'll be running that program again in the summer. It's coming up in Albuquerque. So people out there, get your posters in, do a Chambliss poster. It's very cool.
And so in addition to Chambliss at the meetings, we do some other great activities that we just want to share with people. So one is we want to make sure everybody knows that in addition to your scientific abstract, you get an education abstract. And we really want to make sure that all members who do, again, any of these things that are education, right? If you did an outreach project, you want to talk about a lesson you did, you want to talk about anything, put in an abstract if you're going to be there, be part of the community, be part of the discussion. And so we want to invite everyone, right? In the AAS meetings to just come and present and really get into your part of the education community. So that's the first thing we like to say, is that we do oral sessions and we do posters, very similar to the rest of the scientific program. So we invite everyone to do that. We have an educator reception, which Tom has now started putting together. And so if you're interested in any parts of the education, you can come and have some appetizers and hang out. So that's something that we're going to be doing.
Making friends
on a regular basis. So again, like getting to know the kinds of things you want to know.
Yeah. Community building. Very good.
Yeah. So it's team building. And we also just want to point out that there are workshops. So we talked about the EPD mini grant. Let's say you don't want to apply for one, but you want to go, definitely come to a workshop, kind of reinvigorate your teaching or your outreach. And, not all of them are sponsored by the committee, but we definitely support all of them. And so we love all of the community outreach that's being done again at the AAS meeting. So we definitely encourage people to take advantage. If you're going to come to the meeting already, come take advantage.
Absolutely.
And then the last
Maybe
thing,
should notice that those tend to happen in the days like a day or two before the main meeting. So
Saturday or Sunday.
making your travel plans, think about coming a little early for a workshop.
yeah, and there's going to be some exciting ones in Albuquerque, so check it out, right? It's a really great place to be coming. And then there are special sessions. So we like to say, I mean, with the eclipses coming up as really outstanding outreach opportunities, come check out some of the workshops related to the eclipses or the special sessions. And so the other thing is the education committee tries to also convene special sessions for folks around education so that everyone gets to share, because we think that's really important.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very cool.
So suppose somebody wants to write something a little bit more formal, shall we say? Do we have any venues for that?
We do. One of the sort of mandates to the committee recently was to help have a better online presence and help to connect the community outside of meetings. So we decided to go ahead and launch a blog, which we launched about 2 years ago now, maybe more like 2.5 years ago. And we invite anyone who has something they'd like to write about for the blog to submit, and you can write for the blog. All of our EPD grant winners are asked to write their final reports as a blog topic, and then we also have other topics of interest. We have some about the eclipse. I think we have some about using smartphones in the classroom, Galileoscopes, the Gemini
Nice.
card game. Really anything that's related to education can go out in this blog.
Very cool.
Each blog goes out on the AAS Digest, so the mailing all members get. This will be one of the items, but we also have a mailing list now. So I think it's at the top of this page. If you want to make sure you don't miss in the AAS Digest that we have new education content, you can subscribe to the list and you get just an email just when a new blog gets posted. That's all. We don't use it for anything else.
Let's slide down a little bit and let me take a look at some of those recent blog posts again. Okay, we got a couple of Geminis from Doug, Liz, Aaron, and then sliding down. Oh, Daniel, we just did a video with Daniel on his activities there.
2 Daniels.
And did 2 Daniels. I did both. Daniel Rickard. Very good. I like this. This is nice. So how do people submit? Can they just submit a blog article, or?
We have a little form up at the top where you can contact us, I think, topic suggestions and then submissions to contribute an article. So you're not actually submitting the article. It's just to kind of talk to our blog runner at the moment. That's Tanya Anderson, and she just sort of coordinates the timing. So we make sure we spread them out. We try to do one about every 2 weeks or so. So she'll give you a deadline, and there's a little tiny review process. The committee takes a look and makes sure that we're putting out quality content and gives suggestions for improving it. It's pretty light as a review, but we do have a little bit of a process to make sure that the content is good.
On a related topic, let me ask something slightly dangerous because I'm always good for that. Suppose somebody wanted to write a more formal education article, and I know in the past there have been efforts by the AAS and others to have a more formal education journal for astronomy. You want to talk anything about that on something a bit more formal with actual references and all this kind of stuff?
Sure. I think Sanlyn should take that one.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. And so, part of my role is as an education researcher. And so when people ask, I think the first thing to think about is who we want to do this for and what we want to do, right? And so if you are an education researcher, like classically doing education research, there is some really nice journals, including one by the IAU, which is now named Astronomy Education Journal, right? The Astronomy Education Journal, yes. And so it is run in collaboration with the IAU. And so it's both education research, but also what we might consider to be kind of outreach pieces. Again, you have an innovation in a curriculum, you have something you want to share. So that's a great place to go there. And so if you go to the Astronomy Education Journal, you can get more. If you're doing education research that you want to have even wider reach, physical review, PER, is a great place. And we have a lot of people. And I always say to look at articles there. And then, of course, more of our streamlined education journals like JARST, the Journal of Research on Science Teaching, Science Education, and the International Journal of Science Education are all really great journals to both read and to publish in. And then I think it's really important to also mention that the National Science Teacher Association runs some really nice journals for talking about the work you're doing. So again, if you have some great innovations that you do in your classroom, the Journal of College Science Teaching is a great place to put it. And they have parallel versions if you're working with K-12 or informal. And so I love talking about that because I always get great ideas by JCST. So I think but then I think it's also important to talk about the AAS Digest, right? And so there is, you'll correct me, Frank, but it's, I will look it up really quick, but there's also a AAS,
The research notes, you mean? Or
the
what is it called?
There's the bulletin. There's the bulletin. The
bulletin. Yeah, that's what I meant.
BAAS.
So I think, and I think we also want to make sure that people are putting stuff out in the bulletin because that's, again, out to the membership. And I think that's really great as well. So
Definitely.
all really fun places and great places to be publishing.
And let me just put an offer out there. If someone would like their BAAS submission formally reviewed, so undergo a AAS journal style peer review, that can be done. So if you would like your BAAS article to be peer reviewed, we can do that. And I will just put in a plug there for the Astronomy Education Journal, mainly because I have an article under review there. So, so very good. Very cool. Okay.
So I think the last thing we'll talk about is how one gets onto the AAS Education Committee.
Yes.
Because we are always looking for members each year. And so the first thing is, of course, it's a volunteer group. That's really important. This is not a paid position. You're doing this as a volunteer, as a AAS member, like all of the committees, right? Yeah. And so each winter we'll put out a call for new members. We had a spectacular showing a year ago and made some very hard decisions. And as Karen said, we were selecting people to really make sure we had a super diverse committee. But again, each year you can sign up when you're doing your volunteer sign up to be on the education committee.
What's the period of service that one signs up for when one does that? Is it 1 year, 3 years?
Typically 3 years. We do have members, sometimes members want to repeat. So we actually didn't put out a call for new members this year, just because with all the pandemic disruptions and things, all of the members wanted to keep going because we feel like we're really starting to do some fun stuff now. So
cool. But then there's also elected positions, which I think yours are elected. Is that right?
No. Well, I guess we're elected from within the committee, but you have to be a committee member.
God, it doesn't show up on the annual AAS ballot. Like,
no, there used to be an astronomy education officer, which was an elected position, but that got rolled into the committee chair. So got it.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. So what is the relationship with Tom Rice, who's now a AAS education specialist, and what is his role with regard to the committee? And I don't want, Tom's not here, so put too much on his plate, but what is the relationship though between the education committee and the AAS education specialist?
Yeah, so he is our liaison to the AAS staff itself. And so he's a really great advocate for helping. And so he comes to meetings, he participates, but really his job is helping us figure out what are things that the committee does and what are things that staff can do at the AAS. And so, for example, we support Chambliss. He kind of runs it. It's a really big operation. And so as a staff member, he does that. And so he, again, is just such a great cheerleader and support for the committee and really helps us figure out how to get funding for things or how to get the right person. And so, yeah, so he works just really alongside the committee.
Very nice. Very nice.
We should also maybe have a shout out to, we have a board liaison representative, and our board liaison is Kelsey Johnson. So
yeah,
we're going in at the top with our representation.
There we go.
Kelsey occasionally comes to our committee meetings, but also she's on we have a committee mailing list. So she sees the discussion we're having there, and it jumps in with some suggestions about procedure and support that she can provide. So that's really awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
I think another thing to mention to, again, AAS members is that you can always bring up issues related to education. And so we kind of continuously have people approach us to say, can I come talk about this topic that is really important to me, or I'm really interested in this? And we definitely encourage people to reach out to any committee member
Yep.
to come present to the committee and really talk about things that matter to them.
Oh, and as long as we're doing that, I'll do one. And if you would like to talk about your education activities, please reach out and contact. Happy to do one. Very cool. Yeah, I just wanted to comment. Yeah, Tom was running the, so he was in the hot seat for the AAS Chambliss chair at the last AAS meeting. And it was, with 500 posters, there's a lot of questions and people. So he was very busy at the AAS booth on the exhibit floor. So if you are at a AAS meeting, drop by the booth. You can chat with people, education and otherwise. Good, good. Anything else we would like to cover?
I think we covered what we had on our agenda. As I said, we're a committee that is, representing education in all the diverse ways that astronomers do education. And so we like to hear from the community about what else the committee could be doing, although we're pretty busy already.
There you go. There you go. Here, let's load your agenda. Okay, so there you go. So yeah, if you have any interest in education, which is probably most of them, please reach out to the education committee, consider volunteering, and consider engaging in one form or another. So very cool. Karen, Sanlyn, I want to thank you so much for talking about the education committee and all of its activities today. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thanks.
And that'll do, everyone. And I hope this made your astronomy day just a little bit better, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.